Worth an estimated $500 billion, a cultural phenomenon that started the social media revolution and ranks #1 of all Glassdoor-rated internships, working at household name Facebook is sought after by many creatives and tech enthusiasts alike. And how can you get hired by the giants who now also own WhatsApp and Instagram? Find out in this video. Hiya guys, I'm Adam from TapIn, and today we're going to be talking about something closer to home, Facebook. Before we get started, make sure to smash that like button and why not give us a cheeky subscribe whilst you're at it as well. Now, we create videos on how to get into some of the world's best companies. Remember, we do the research, you get the internship. If you've applied to Facebook or any other tech companies, do let us know in the comments section below. So everyone knows that Facebook was founded by Mark Zuckerberg back in 2004. That's right, despite being an integral part of our lives, it really hasn't been around that long, which makes it even more impressive that they've made such a huge amount of money in such a short time. Despite being based in California, they have opportunities across the world. But we'll just be focusing on internships and grad roles today. The internships they offer range from project management and design to more data-based roles like infrastructure and security, along with software engineering and data science. The grad jobs are predominantly roles in these more STEM areas of expertise, but they do offer some more business and marketing related roles too. So if any of those sound like your cup of tea, keep watching. Top tip. There are numerous online coding competitions and university networking events where you can get noticed by talent scouts from the Silicon Valley giants. This is the path that a summer intern in the London office in 2016 took when he was approached out of the blue by a Facebook recruiter on LinkedIn. Either way, roles are split into technical and non-technical, and then broken down into several subcategories. The large majority of Facebook's 12-week internship roles are technical and typically require you to be pursuing relevant degrees at postgraduate level, although there are exceptions. Engineering interns at the data center facility only require a high school diploma, for example. For most roles, knowledge of programming languages and research or previous experience in a similar position is also preferred. Make sure you carefully research and understand the eligibility criteria for the position that you're interested in before you apply. Facebook currently has roles available in the following departments. Facebook also offers a 12-week non-technical intern opportunity in its program management and analysis department. You must be studying at postgraduate level in a business-related field, whilst also possessing prior experience of working in or with project management, data visualization, and HR management. But first, let's talk about what you can expect and look forward to from working at Facebook. Most obviously, their ratings speak for themselves, having been ranked the best company to work for in the world by platforms like Glassdoor. Perhaps one of the keys to such high ratings is the eye-wateringly high salaries they pay interns and graduates alike, with the intern salaries reported to be one of the highest paid standard internships around. Opportunities to boost your career, such as one-to-one mentoring and networking events with top Facebook employees, are also constantly offered. That's on top of the flexible working hours, free office meals and snacks, as well as gym allowances, with it all culminating in the promise to consider each intern for another internship or a graduate job. It's clearly a great option for trying to get into Facebook post-university. Doesn't sound too bad, right? Facebook also puts resources into tackling social and economic inequality at the source by providing investment and conducting programs to provide opportunities to all. Take, for example, their economic opportunity programs or their computer science education initiatives. Perhaps most noticeable is Facebook University, an 8-week immersive internship in a wide variety of areas specifically targeted at underrepresented communities. Yet with such glittering endorsements comes an inevitable downside for any potential candidates. Competition for jobs is ferocious. One employee, for example, went through a staggering 17 rounds of interviews before securing a role, while in 2014 the company received over 250,000 applicants for its 330 job openings. But don't let that put you off though. One of the best ways to get your foot in the door at Facebook is through an internship, especially if you're still studying. We've created this video as a handy guide for you through the process. So if you've always dreamed of a career at one of the most exciting companies in the world, stay tuned. This is how you get an internship at Facebook. So how do you obtain these benefits, you may wonder? Well, of course, your required skills and qualifications vary from role to role. For the STEM-based internships, like software engineering, you need to be at uni doing a computer science-related degree. For the design and business-based internships, you also need to be studying at uni or equivalent. But these roles aren't degree-specific, meaning that you could apply with any degree discipline. Facebook also don't specify grades for their tech roles. They want you to have experience with coding languages like Python, Java, and Perl, or design programs like InDesign, Illustrator, and Lighthouse, all of which you learn independently. Although we'd recommend working towards getting a 2-1 or first in your degree, as internships at Facebook are very competitive. Fun fact, if you become a Facebook intern, you'll automatically be considered for a full-time role if you want to work at Facebook in the future. Some of the grad jobs require a PhD in a computer science-related field, but not all of them. Again, they just prefer you to have had experience in data analysis, problem solving, and collaboration along with your degree. First things first, let's start with your CV. We recommend tailoring each CV you write specifically to the job you apply to. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, even though this means writing multiple CVs, or adjusting the most relevant sections onto separate documents. Trust us when we say it's worth it. It shows your enthusiasm and proactivity for wherever you're applying for, in this case, Facebook. Once you've got the basic contact details out the way, you can start making your CV Facebook specific, which is what we're here to help with. Jeff Rayner, a recruiter at Facebook who interviews between 50 and 100 people annually for various technical roles, said, "What we tend to look for is people who are passionate about an area of technology, certainly for software engineers. It doesn't really matter how you describe what you've done, as long as it comes across clearly that you've done something important." Top tip, if you're struggling to structure your CV, you could plan it by making 2 lists. The first one will be the required skills and attributes for the role you're applying for, and the second, all the experience you have, paid, unpaid, self-taught, etc., which correspond with those. This makes sure you're not just listing your skills and have specific examples to back them up. If you're worried you don't have enough relevant work experience, there are ways in which you can sell what you've done to associate it to the world. Did you do some shadowing in an office? Talk about how you were introduced to the inner workings of a company and how it kick-started your interest in working for an international company? Or maybe you've done the marketing for uni events or been integral to the running of a society. Not only do these show your ability to maintain a healthy work-life balance, something strongly recommended at Facebook, but also it demonstrates you in a much more three-dimensional way beyond your studies. You can also highlight these transferable skills in your previous employment. If you've had a job in hospitality, sales, or retail, mention it. You might not think it's relevant, but collaborative work, the ability to work in a fast-paced, ever-changing environment, and multitasking are all valid attributes when applying for Facebook. Back yourself up with specific examples wherever possible. Maybe you were given extra responsibilities with stock checking because of your keen eye for detail, for example. Top tip, avoid using words and phrases like team player, punctual, and people person. These are really overused and they don't sell you enough. If you need inspiration for describing yourself, use an online thesaurus. Now, when you submit your CV, you'll also send off an application form. Not to worry, as this is very basic, with only the required details being your contact information and relevant work experience. The optional sections you can fill in are your education history and your LinkedIn profile if you have one, which we would recommend that you do, because there isn't space for these on your CV, and both you and the form look more professional when fully completed. So once you've sent off your application, if the recruiters like what they see, they'll get in touch, asking to interview you. But depending on the role you've applied for, you might have to do a simple online coding test first. We must stress that these usually tend to be for the software development roles, not any of the other roles. This is just so Facebook gets an idea of your abilities and approaches to coding. Practice beforehand if you want to feel extra prepared, though they are already going to interview you at this point, so it'll be something else to talk about during your interview, as opposed to an academic test. Let us know in the comments below if you'd like us to make another video going through the coding test in much more depth. If your application is successful, the next rounds are all interview-based. The interview process is officially split into 2 stages, a screening interview followed by a second on-site interview, although some candidates have reported undergoing a 3rd interview as well. The first thing we highly recommend that you do is preparation. As for every Facebook interview, one of the most important things you need to do is research. Look into how Facebook started, how its business model became successful, how their strategies have changed over the years. If you're applying for a design or software engineering role, you might want to look at how the app and website have changed and developed over time. Make a note of the aspects of Facebook as a corporation which really stand out to you and why. Top tip: if you're not sure where to start on your research, then Mark Zuckerberg's Building Global Community Manifesto is a good read, just to get a feel about Facebook's place in the modern world and his aspirations for the company's future. Know your CV and your application form inside out so you can be ready to answer anything about your past experience. This also helps you prepare for questions that Facebook have asked in the past, such as, what can you bring to this role? Because you can talk about your passions and why you want to build on previous roles you've had. Prepare some questions. The Facebook interviewers are always going to ask if you have any questions. And not only does this make the interview more like a conversation, which will ease your nerves, believe me, but it also shows your keen interest and forward-thinking nature. For example, what advice would you give to a designer or software engineer, etc., who's just starting out? Or how do you think Facebook as a business will have changed in the next 10 years? Once you've completed the preparation, you've written your notes, and done your research, you'll move on to the interviews. So your conversation with a recruiter will either be done via Skype or on the phone. There is a brief discussion about your career aspirations and motivation for applying before moving on to some coding challenges. There are many past questions available online that are representative of the kind of problems that you'll be asked to solve, so it's recommended that you brush up and familiarize yourself with what you're going to face. Alternatively, your recruiter may ring you for a phone interview. To counteract not being able to see them, we recommend vocalizing your train of thought as much as possible, so they can see how you answer questions and get the best understanding of how your mind works. This also minimizes any awkward silences down the phone, which is always good. Fun fact, previous recruiters have asked questions like, what do you do on your best day at work? When have you lost track of time in the best possible way? And how would you contribute to the role? So think about how you'd answer these. The last part of the process is 2 face-to-face interviews and an in-person assessment, which we're going to get to in a second. The first interview is design-based, either systems design or product design, where you'll have 45 minutes to detail, elaborate and explain your ideas to Facebook panelists on a whiteboard. After that, you'll have more of a traditional sit-down interview, where you'll talk about previous experiences and motivation to apply. Remember what I said before about an interview being more like a conversation? Well, an in-person interview is the format that mimics this the most, so try and remember that. Here's a top tip. As well as asking your friends, parents, uni, careers department for mock interview practices, do a practice run of your design interview, so you get more comfortable talking about yourself in a professional environment. On your interview day, you'll also be given some technical challenges and problems to face, so Facebook employees can see how your mind works and how you approach solving problems. If this sounds daunting, try not to get in a stress. Get as much practice as you can before the day to ease any nerves. If it's a software engineering position that you're going for, maybe see if your uni runs any extra sessions on coding languages. Hopefully, if all goes well, you will receive an offer at this point, as well as a project assignment that you will work on for the duration of your internship. According to past interns, the process is very streamlined and they do their homework to ensure that you fit into a team that's a perfect fit for your background and skills. Of course, the longer term goal is turning those 12 weeks into a permanent gig. Best of luck in your application, and make sure you check the link to our website in the description below, because we've written a detailed step-by-step guide on how to secure an internship with Facebook. And also, whilst you're here, consider signing up and joining the TapIn community. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'd like to say a massive thank you to Lucia, who is a current Facebook employee who has supported us in creating this video. If you found this video on how to get into Facebook useful, hit like. And if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel. So share this video around and help us on our mission to prepare 100 million young people for the world of work. Now, we do weekly videos that help prepare you for internships and grad jobs, and have loads more videos on how to get both in tech. Click here to check some of them out. If you have any questions, video ideas, or anything at all like that, let us know in the comments. We usually respond to all the comments that we get on our videos. So I've been Adam from TapIn, and I'll catch you next time.